take so long. There we go.
Are we live? We are.
Nice.
We sure are.
Yay! I'm sharing a post about it now.
Oh, I should do the same.
Yes, so we can have more people join us. It looks so funny when we're live doing it.
We sure are.
I swear I turn it
Oh,
all the way
gosh.
down every time and it comes back up. Oh, yours is way better.
Tell your friends.
Please tell friends. Have them join us. Beautiful. All right. Well, I've got time, so let's get started.
Let's get started.
So, welcome everyone to Get Well Family Chiropractic's weekly Tuesday Facebook Live class. Dr. Sarah has returned
Here I am.
from her vacation, refreshed and energized, ready to
Yes.
share with all of you.
I know Dr. Robin did a wonderful job last week.
It was so fun and a little scary. But clearly this week we're talking about managing your asthma. As we move into fall, we're going to have lots of molds and tree pollens and decaying leaves. And I know that fall is really one of the harder times for the patients that I've taken care of over the years that have asthma. And, you know, it was really cool that this class came up so that we could really talk about how can we naturally manage asthma, because people think that oftentimes there's no hope for them, that they're just going to have to, this is the way it is and it's always the way it's going to be, and that's really not the truth. I am Dr. Robin Lawrence. I am the principal chiropractor here at Get Well Family Chiropractic. With me I have my wonderful associate doctor, Dr. Sarah Ponica, and we are going to get into
Managing
your asthma. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. We're more than happy to answer them as quickly as we can. We both have our little phones on so we can see who's here and what's going on. Make sure you give us a thumbs up or a heart, right? Tell us that you love us, and share. Bring as many people in.
Start a watch party.
Yeah, absolutely, because then it'll be more fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Alrighty, so let's get started. Okay. So what is asthma? So asthma is a condition in which airways narrow and swell while producing excess mucus, and this makes breathing difficult for these people, and it can also trigger coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath. And for some people, asthma is only a minor nuisance, but for others, it can cause significant problems that can interfere with daily activities, and it can even lead to life-threatening situations.
Yeah, for sure. And people with asthma clearly know that. But you know, what's interesting to me is you don't always know someone has asthma, right? It's not like there's some outward signal to it, you know, until you start to see them struggle. So really just paying attention is important. So asthma changes over time, right? And your reaction to triggers can evolve based on your lifestyle and other environmental factors. Although there is no cure, depending on who you talk to, for asthma, you'll learn that during this experience that it is possible to really alleviate the symptoms.
Yeah. My friend Libby is watching. Hi, Libby.
Hi, Libby.
So some common asthma signs and symptoms are going to include shortness of breath, tightness in our chest, trouble sleeping caused by coughing, wheezing, or an inability to breathe comfortably in bed, a whistling or wheezing sound when you're exhaling, and then coughing or wheezing attacks that are worsened by respiratory viruses like the cold, your common cold or the flu.
All right, so what are some signs that your asthma could be getting worse, right? Because oftentimes people will be like, oh, it's just an episode, or, you know, it's not really getting worse. So if your symptoms seem to be more frequent, right, or they're more bothersome than usual, you're probably getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need to reach for your inhaler more often. Maybe once a day was what it used to be, and now it's twice a day, right? That would definitely be a sign that's getting worse. If you're not sure, definitely go see your doctor, right? Ask them to use that peak flow meter, right? That's can check how well your lungs are working. And clearly, obviously, you want to seek emergency treatment if you don't feel any relief after using your inhaler. And if you're experiencing shortness of breath when doing minimal activity or exercise, or if your symptoms seem to be rapidly getting worse, you definitely want to seek emergency treatment.
So the medical term for an asthma attack that's triggered by physical activity is exercise-induced bronchoconstriction, which induces the narrowing of our airways, but it's not a root cause of asthma. Mm-hmm. Most people with exercise-induced bronchoconstriction can continue to exercise by treating the symptoms with medications and also taking preventative measures here.
Which is what our purpose here is.
Yes. So exercise-induced bronchoconstriction is more likely to occur in, first of all, people with asthma. Mm-hmm. About 90% of people who have asthma have exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. But the condition can occur in people that don't have asthma too. And then elite athletes too. Although anyone can experience exercise-induced bronchoconstriction, it is more common in our high-level elite athletes.
Isn't that an interesting... Though you wouldn't think, right?
Yeah.
But because they work so hard and put so much stress in their bodies, that exercise can sometimes be a negative stress rather than a good stress. Mm-hmm. And the body just constricts trying to get the, athlete to relax a little bit. Yeah. All right. So factors that could make things worse, right? So I'm sure those of you with asthma, right, may have experienced some of the things, but for those of us that don't have asthma, it's important to know that, cold air can actually make your asthma symptoms worse. Dry air pollution, right? I remember trying to, when I was running, right? And running on a major street, it's harder to breathe when you're running on a major street with all that air pollution. Yeah. Chlorine in your swimming pools can actually make your symptoms worse. Chemicals that they use to resurface ice rinks, right? I didn't even think about that one, but you combine that with the cold air of the ice rink and then the chemicals. Yeah. And then activities with extended periods of deep breathing, such as long distance running, swimming, or soccer, which, brings us back to our elite athletes.
So occupational asthma has actually become the most common work-related lung disease in developed countries. And it's caused by inhaling fumes, gases, dust, or other potentially harmful substances while you're on the job. The exact number of newly diagnosed cases of asthma due to occupational exposure is unknown, but up to 15% of asthma cases in the United States might be job-related. Mm-hmm. Occupational asthma is often a reversible condition, which means that the symptoms might disappear when the irritants that cause the asthma are avoided. But permanent damage can result if the person experiences prolonged exposures to these. Mm-hmm. Occupational asthma can be treated the same as regular asthma with inhaled medications called bronchodilators, which open up or dilate those airways. And then also inhaled anti-inflammatory medications, which are glucocorticoids. Mm-hmm. But the most important intervention is to just avoid any further exposure of those chemicals or whatever it is. And there are some tests that you can get for the causes of the occupational asthma that you're having. And that includes allergy skin tests. So a doctor would prick your skin with purified allergy extracts and observe your skin for signs of an allergic reaction. Mm-hmm. And then you can also do a challenge test, which is when you inhale an aerosol that contains a small amount of that suspected chemical to see if it triggers that.
Yeah, neither one of them sound very fun. And it is a really great way to figure out what it is in your environment that is triggering your symptoms, because we're all wearing masks now. This might be one of those things where if you can't avoid a particular chemical when you're on the job, it might be one of those places where a filtration mask might be helpful, but you got to know what you're filtering out, right? And what to avoid. All right, so who's really most at risk? Irritants in high doses are most likely to trigger occupational occupational asthma, include hydrochloric acid, sulfur dioxide, or ammonia, right? And I know if any of you body's cleaned with ammonia at home, I know I get a little so additionally, workers in washing powder industry, so those people that make our laundry detergents and our washing powders, may also develop a sensitivity to the enzymes in Bacillus subtilis, while bakers may develop symptoms from exposure to various flours and baking enzymes. Also, if you're a smoker, which we have encouraged many people to stop, you're also at higher risk for developing occupational asthma.
Asthma or allergies?
Which could it be?
So asthma and allergies have a lot in common, besides just making you feel gross. People with a history of allergies are more likely to develop occupational asthma, particularly with exposure to substances like flour, animals, and latex. And even if you don't have a history of allergies, you can still develop allergy-induced asthma if you're exposed to conditions that trigger your system. And in some people, skin or food allergies can cause asthma symptoms.
Which is interesting because most people wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant. We talk about diet all the time and things, and so food allergies is part of that. Yeah.
And many of the things that trigger allergies can also trigger asthma.
Yeah. So how do allergies actually cause asthmatic symptoms? So an allergic response occurs when the immune system proteins, also known as antibodies, mistakenly identify an otherwise harmless substance as an invader. It's an intruder alert. As a reaction, your antibodies then attack that substance and as a means to try to protect you. And that then creates chemicals that create symptoms like nasal congestion, runny nose, itchy eyes, asthma.
Yeah.
Right? And for some people, the same reaction affects the lungs and airways, much like asthma symptoms.
So asthma triggers vary from person to person, but some of the most common triggers are going to be airborne substances like pollen, dust, mold, pet dander, or particles of insect waste.
Ew.
Respiratory infections like the common cold, physical activity, cold air, smoke, certain medications like beta blockers, aspirin, ibuprofen, which Advil and Motrin are brands of ibuprofen, and also naproxen, which is Aleve. And then strong emotions like stress can trigger
we've had
your
none
asthma.
of that lately. So if any of you have worsening asthma symptoms, it's probably because of stress.
Yeah. Also, sulfites and preservatives commonly used in foods and beverages like shrimp, dried fruit, processed potatoes, beer, and wine. All of that can trigger your asthma. And then gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is our GERD, and that's a condition when your stomach acid backs up into your throat, and that can cause asthma symptoms as well.
Yeah. And what's really cool is the sulfites, right, that are in our preservatives and things like that. It's really important to try to avoid those because not only do you get maybe asthma symptoms, but allergy symptoms as well. It could be painful joints or swollen joints or headaches can also come from that. And they actually make filters for your wine now that will take the sulfites out of the wine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who, when they drink that red wine, like their cheeks just go bright red.
Yeah. So then, it's an allergic response for sure. Okay, so one of my favorite slides in this whole presentation, right? We get to talk about breathing exercises, and this is something that I teach to a lot of people. And as we were going through doing some of the research on this presentation, we found some breathing techniques that I didn't even know, which was super exciting. And we're going to post links in the contacts to YouTube videos, right? So that way I don't have to sit here and do all sorts of breathing in front of you. So experts really believe that people living with asthma tend to breathe faster than the people with healthy lungs. And they may tend to breathe through their mouths more often than through their noses. And by training your body to breathe differently, you can actually help your lungs get deeper, more nourishing air. So one of the techniques, right, that I teach people here in the office, I'm going to do the 4 square breathing with you guys, is diaphragmatic breathing, right? We want to breathe with our diaphragms and with our tummies. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. Okay, so when you breathe in, your tummy should go out, and then the upper part should inhale, right? Which is actually one of the ones a little bit lower is the yogic breathing. So when you breathe in, you're going to breathe in through your nose, and you're going to push your hands out that are on your tummy, and then you're going to hold for 4 seconds, and then you're going to exhale through your nose or your mouth. Ooh. I know. I was trying to, talking is hard to do. And then you'll hold it out for 4 seconds, and then you'll repeat. So you really want to use your tummy to breathe. And when you get all that oxygen in, you start to get a little tingly. It's really fun.
I have a little sidetrack for you. So this past week I was in Colorado, and me and my friends went to an oxygen bar.
Yeah.
And we had the cannula in our nose, and we were breathing in the oxygen, and we were told to breathe in through our nose, out through our mouth to like get the full effects. And my friends had asked me if I knew any good breathing techniques that we could do while we were doing the oxygen bar, and I showed them the 4 square breathing.
Nice! I love it. 4 square breathing is in Colorado. Yeah. Beautiful. So that's one that, you can really do that anywhere. You can do that in the car, when you're in line at the bank or the grocery store. Really, that's a great one. If you start to feel your shoulders tense up, it's a great relaxation exercise too. Now, I don't exactly know how to pronounce this.
Buteyko.
Thank you. Buteyko breathing is a really interesting breathing that requires you to close one side of your nose. Helps, from what I've learned, it actually helps to open up sinus passages if you're all clogged up. Yogic breathing, right, is where you're going to start down low and then fill all the way up to the top of the lungs, and then the process goes down and out the other way. Papworth method is another method. Pursed lip breathing, right, you're going to inhale through your nose and then exhale out through pursed lips. From the research that I did on that, this is really good for people with like COPD. Yeah. And then also there's a progressive relaxation technique where you're going to progressively relax tight muscles with the breath and really open up the lungs and relax the muscles and everything like this. So Dr. Sarah just posted all of those into the comments, into the chat. If you have any trouble with those, please reach out to us.
So, one of the primary inflammation-causing fats is believed to be arachidonic acid, which is a polyunsaturated omega-6 fatty acid found in many processed foods. And one German study examined 524 children and found that asthma was more prevalent in children with high levels of that arachidonic acid. So, one strategy to reduce levels of arachidonic acid is to increase levels of our omega-3 fatty acids. And the easiest way to ensure you're getting that right amount of omegas is to take a supplement. So that's our fish oil. But otherwise, if you, for some reason, don't want to take the supplement, be sure that you're eating plenty of foods like dark leafy greens and oily fish and walnuts.
Yeah, and and I'm going to do a sidebar on this one too, right?
Do it, girl.
So statistics show that our normal American diet, right, which is quite sad, is anywhere from a 6-to-1 to a 9-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s. So we're either getting 3 times or, 3 times 2 or 3 times as many omega-6s in our standard diet than we should. And so, we definitely need to eliminate those omega-6s as much as possible. So, eliminating processed foods is really, really, where it's at. And then the other sidebar that I wanted to take was on omega-3s. If you're purchasing your omega-3s at big box stores or even nutrition stores or maybe online, and you burp up a fishy taste after you take them, that means that oil is rancid. So, back in the day before I knew any better, I would tell people to freeze them, right? Take them, and then they would pass through a little, less digested, and you wouldn't burp up that fishy taste. But then I learned that, oh no, those oils are rancid. Those are actually doing you more harm than they are good. So you want to just pitch them, right? Don't buy that brand again. We carry a couple of different omegas in the office that brands that I absolutely love. Nordic Natural is the one we carry here in the office. I also have some Metagenics, specific short chain fatty acids that are really great for brain health. So, if you're going to buy out in the world, which is totally fine, Nordic Naturals you can usually count on as a good brand. Oh, look, I was talking about diet earlier.
There you go.
It's a segue. Segue? A prelude. It was a prelude.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Thank you. There we go. I knew there was a word in there somewhere. So it's really crucial that we get to the root cause of conditions, which is why we're chiropractors. We get to the root cause of what's going on with you instead of just treating your symptoms, right? That's just putting a Band-Aid on a problem, hoping that maybe one day it'll go away, like the black piece of tape over your check engine light and hoping your car won't blow up, right? So if you have asthma, right, your diet could actually be putting stress into your immune system, and that is really going to worsen your asthma symptoms, right? By participating in what we call an elimination diet, where we're going to eliminate an entire food, right? Dairy, right? Or gluten, right? Or corn or soy. We're going to be able to discover which foods may be triggering your symptoms, right? And then we can make small changes to rebalance and strengthen your immune system. So I mentioned just a second ago, gluten and dairy are the most common causes of inflammation. But yeast may also be to blame, right? Which is why we really require people to cut back on their sugar. And I don't mean just cut back, I mean like way back, like eliminate the sugar, right? And by doing all that, we're going to balance up the gut. And we're also now in this new world of ours, we're actually would like to invite you to participate in a nutrition or diet consultation that we're now offering via Zoom. So we're doing some virtual health. If you can't get to the office or case, it's just one of those things where I don't want to go out in public, which we totally get. We can actually have these consultations. They're about 45 minutes to an hour long. And we'll have lots of questions. There'll be some questionnaires for you to fill out. But we'll really be happy to assist via Zoom. Yeah. Just call the office.
Up your magnesium. So
up your magnesium.
All right. So it's been found that people that have asthma can have low levels of magnesium. And this mineral is going to play a role in opening up those bronchial tubes and improving your airflow. And more research is still needed on the use of oral magnesium supplementation and asthma management, but it can be helpful. So talk to a professional if you want to figure out the safe amount of magnesium that you should take.
For sure. And I think this is also another sidebar. One of the reasons why halotherapy is so beneficial, because it's the salt rooms, right? People don't know halotherapy. So there's a room that's lined with Himalayan salt. And there's a generator that puts the salt particles, right, the magnesium salt particles into the air. So you're actually inhaling a healthy magnesium to help open up the lungs for asthma, allergies, COPD, things like that. So I'm super excited that, in the next year or so, we'll have a salt room in our office too.
I like it.
Yahoo! Clearly, we as chiropractors wouldn't be talking about this subject if we didn't recommend visiting a chiropractor. Correct spinal alignment and full range of spinal motion helps support a proper functioning nerve system. When the spine is misaligned or not moving correctly, it really can negatively impact the body's ability to handle irritants that would otherwise not be an issue. Also, right, when the spine's not moving, the ribs can't expand and move through their bucket handle motion the way that they're supposed to. Now, we as chiropractors don't treat asthma specifically, right? However, we do look at your body as a whole, and we will make adjustments to the sections of the spine where the nerves go to the lungs and the nerves go to the immune system, thus impacting the communication between brain and body and improving breathing function and immune function. And I have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial after 24 years of people who have asthma that actually their symptoms improve.
Well said.
Thanks.
Check for mold. Mold spores. Mold spores can get into your nose and cause allergies, and they can also reach all the way into your lungs and trigger that asthma. And over time, asthma can worsen with prolonged exposure to mold. You can reduce mold in the spaces that you live and work by making sure that the central air conditioning has a certified asthma and allergy-friendly filter, lowering the amount of humidity in your home by using a dehumidifier, and paying close attention to bathrooms, basements, and laundry areas where mold can really thrive.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna tell one of myself, my bathroom doesn't look like that, but I've got spots, right? And we're in the middle of renovations. We're tearing out our bathroom down to the studs and rebuilding. But one of the things that I've done recently is I've actually bought a dehumidifier.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it has made a world of difference in when I wake up in the morning and I'm not all snotty, and the kids, you know, are doing a whole lot better too. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to play out. Yeah, for sure. All right, identify and record your triggers. So it's really important, and if I would stop bumping the desk, it would probably stop wiggling the camera so much. So sorry about that. That's my fault. Just as when we do a weight loss program, we want to write down, you know, what we're eating. When you're triggered, you want to track where you're at, what you're doing, how you're feeling, what are you eating, because that's how we, as your healthcare practitioners, can help you to manage and handle those triggers, you know, come up with maybe ways to eliminate them, or, you know, just make sure your body can better understand what's happening. Yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
Awesome. So you're going to know that your asthma is under control if you have symptoms no more than 2 days a week, and those symptoms won't wake you from sleep for more than wake you from sleep more than once or twice a month. If you can do all your normal activities as usual. If you take quick relief medication no more than 2 days a week. If you have no more than one asthma attack per year that requires you to take corticosteroids by mouth. And if your peak flow doesn't drop below 80% of your personal best number. So if all of those things are happening, then your asthma is under control.
Got it. Interesting. I love that. Nice to have like goals or standards, right? Boundaries to understand.
Like just numerical.
Right. Yeah. A what so of it. So you really follow your action plan, right? You've got asthma. You're doing all these things to try to avoid your triggers. You're seeing your health professionals. You're seeing your chiropractor to get adjusted. Making sure you continue with this plan and identify when it's necessary to call your doctor or go to the emergency room is really where it's at. That's how you're going to keep your best health. Now, if your child has asthma, of all the people who care for them should know about your child's asthma action plan, right? This includes babysitters, workers at daycare centers, schools, camps, right? And as an adult, you want to make sure that your coworkers and your loved ones also know what your action plan is as well, so that they can help you follow it if there is a crisis.
All right, and that is all that we have for you today on this topic of asthma.
Woohoo!
I hope you learned a lot. And if you're interested in the resources that were used to put this class together, just let us know, share in the comments, and we can send those resources your way.
Indeed. Oh, yay, my favorite slide. It's so funny, right? I don't know why I say that, but it is. It's always my pleasure, right, to thank you for joining us this evening. You know, we know that you have lots of choices on what you could do with your time. You know, you could be cooking dinner or helping kids with homework or, you know, whatever it may be, but you chose to spend this last half hour with us. And we are truly grateful and blessed that we've been able to participate and contribute to you in life. If you have any further questions or comments, make sure you post them. Feel free to reach out to us via email. We are more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You want to do this?
No, go for it.
So next week we are actually taking off from our Facebook Live classes to just extend the Labor Day weekend. But we will be back in 2 weeks on Tuesday, September 15th at 6:15 for our next class, which is going to be Assessing Your Relationship with Health. So this class is going to be right here on the Get Well Family Chiropractic Facebook page, as usual. And just if you want, go ahead and head over to the event page for that class right now and click interested or going, just so you remember to come. And also just don't forget that all of our videos do stay here on the Facebook page after the class is over. So if you ever miss a class, you can go back and watch it later. And we do post them all onto our YouTube channel as well. And that's Dr. Robin Lawrence is what you would search on YouTube. And finally, if you know somebody or if you could benefit from chiropractic care or are interested in learning more about, holistic health and wellness, go ahead and give our office a call. The phone number is right here on the screen.
It is, as well as the website and our email addresses. So we would be more than happy to help any of your loved ones or yourself. Our purpose here is to be a beacon of light and hope, right? To have answers for seekers and awakening seekers in the world of their health and well-being. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. We will see you in 2 weeks. Have a safe and happy Labor Day weekend.